Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has shocked the world with a transformation nobody saw coming. For decades, his identity was tied to size, power, and mass. He was the man who made every gym rat feel small, the action hero who could dwarf his co-stars, and the wrestler who looked like a walking mountain of muscle. But in 2025, he revealed a version of himself that left fans stunned. Leaner, sharper, and almost unrecognizable. Gone was the 300-pound Hollywood juggernaut. In his place stood a man who had shed nearly 60 pounds, stepping onto the red carpet with a physique that looked more like an MMA fighter than a comic book superhero. The Rock wasn't just smaller. He was transformed. The story behind this transformation is far deeper than a Hollywood makeover. This is about health, art, and reinvention. To understand why this moment is so shocking, we need to look at how The Rock built his body and how that very body became a brand. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born into wrestling. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a wrestling star. His grandfather, Peter Maivia, a legend in Samoa. But before the squared circle, young Dwayne was an athlete on the football field. At the University of Miami, he played defensive tackle. Back then, he weighed around 260 pounds, strong but not yet superhuman. His size earned him a spot in the CFL after college, but an injury ended that dream. So he turned to the family business. In mid-90s, WWE introduced him as Rocky Maivia, a smiling, young talent. Fans hated it. They booed him relentlessly, chanting, "Die Rocky Die." But Johnson knew how to adapt. He shed the babyface image, raised the eyebrow, and gave the world The Rock, the cocky, electrifying superstar who would become one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time. And with that new character came a new body. In the late 90s, The Rock was big, but by today's standards, almost modest. Over the years, as his character grew in popularity, so did his muscles. His chest broadened, his arms thickened, and soon he looked more like a superhero than a wrestler. When Hollywood came calling, Johnson leaned into it even more. Movies demanded that he be larger than life, and he delivered. For the Scorpion King, he packed on mass. For Fast and Furious, he turned into a tank. For Hercules, he trained like a madman, eating 7 meals a day and lifting at 4 a.m. The Rock wasn't just an actor, he was his own special effect. By the 2010s, Johnson was a global phenomenon. He built his personal gym, the Iron Paradise, and turned it into part of his identity. His cheat meals became internet legends. 12 pancakes stacked high, sushi rolls covering an entire table, mountains of cookies that looked impossible to finish. He documented every workout, every rep, every sweat-drenched moment. Fans worshipped not just his movies, but his discipline. To them, The Rock was the ultimate fitness role model. But behind the scenes, the story wasn't as glamorous. Years of wrestling had left him with torn muscles, multiple surgeries, and constant pain. He battled depression after injuries ended his football career. And as he got older, maintaining 300 pounds of pure muscle became a brutal challenge. Johnson started speaking more openly about his struggles. He admitted to a gut issue that was affecting his health, forcing him to rethink everything about fitness. It wasn't enough to look strong. He had to feel strong inside, too. And then came the role that changed everything. Mark Kerr in The Smashing Machine. Kerr was no superhero. He was a real man, a fighter whose life spiraled through addiction and struggle. To play him, Johnson couldn't just be The Rock. He had to become someone leaner, more vulnerable, more authentic. That meant losing weight, a lot of it. So he overhauled everything. His workouts shifted from heavy powerlifting to functional MMA-style training. Instead of bulking, he focused on endurance, cardio, and agility. His diet transformed from massive bulking meals to precision eating, lean proteins, clean carbs, measured portions. His infamous cheat days? Scaled back because the role demanded consistency. Even his sleep and recovery routines became stricter, with focus on gut health and longevity. The result? Johnson dropped nearly 60 pounds, going from 300 down to about 240. His frame slimmed down. His face looked sharper. His suits no longer looked like armor but elegance. And when he stepped onto the red carpet in Venice, the reaction was immediate. Gasps, shock, disbelief. Some fans celebrated the transformation, praising his dedication and calling it the boldest move of his career. Others were worried, asking if he was sick. A few cracked jokes calling him the Pebble or comparing him to a deflated balloon. But everyone agreed, this was the most dramatic physical change The Rock had ever shown. And then came the standing ovation. 15 minutes of applause at the premiere of The Smashing Machine. Johnson broke down in tears, joined by his co-star Emily Blunt and director Benny Safdie. For once, people weren't clapping for the muscles. They were clapping for the man, the actor, the risk-taker who dared to break out of his own mold. What does this mean for the future of The Rock? That's the big question. For years, Hollywood has counted on him as the ultimate action figure. Will studios still want him leaner? Or will this open the door to dramatic roles, maybe even awards, that nobody expected from him? And what about wrestling? A WWE return has always lingered in the background, but can The Rock step back into the ring without the same mass that made him iconic? Would fans accept a leaner version of the People's Champion, or will nostalgia demand the superhero physique? Johnson himself seems unfazed. To him, this isn't a step backward. It's an evolution. He has reinvented himself countless times. Football player, wrestler, actor, producer, businessman. This transformation is just the next chapter. He's proving that strength isn't just about muscles. It's about courage, health, and the willingness to adapt. So here's the truth. The Rock's shocking weight loss isn't just a physical change. It's a statement. It's proof that even the strongest man in the room can choose vulnerability. That even a global icon can risk his image to tell a deeper story. And that health, authenticity, and growth matter more than keeping up a facade. Whether you love the new Rock, miss the old one, or just can't believe your eyes, one thing is certain. This isn't the last transformation we'll see. Because if there's one thing Dwayne Johnson has taught us, it's that he is always evolving, always surprising, and always ready to shock the world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.